So, welcome to Let's Organize Text and Media, naming, saving, and exporting. And tonight's a little different. This is the kind of topic that a lot of people don't train on. It's a lot of the stuff that actually is very helpful for working with the data, the research that you have. And so, I'm going to share some strategies, some tips, some things just to make life a whole lot easier to organize all this data that Logos is throwing at you. So if you have to bug out a little bit earlier or you missed tonight, you can check out LearnLogos.com/replay. That stream will be available for 5 days only. Also, if you like this webinar tonight, you can buy it on sale for $6. Once I release it tomorrow, the price will go up to $7.99. So if you think you're going to need this, take advantage of that special LearnLogos.com/buy now. Let's get started. And the topic tonight is the introduction. Why is this important? Which tool for the job? This is going to be a unique approach in trying to help you understand which documents for the particular task that you're doing. What's in a name? How do we name these things? And what is the best strategy? Then we're going to talk about linking your notebooks and your notes, linking within resources, and then we'll get into exporting and printing. And of course, we'll answer any questions you have along the way. So let's go ahead and jump into the program right now. Here's the personal book. As you can see, we have it all outlined for this evening. And there's quite a bit of stuff in here, as you can see, tabbing through the table of contents. So I tried to include as much information as I can in this personal book. So let's get started and just jump into why is this important. With a little bit of intentional organization, it will be easier not only to find, but leverage your previous research. And in the end, this will save you time and help you be more effective. Even though Logos does a great job of finding your documents, they even have a special tool for searching, there is some strategies that you're going to need. Now, one of the things you've got to understand and grasp, and I've taken some time to do this, is you need to understand the purpose, the primary purpose for a lot of these documents. So let's go to the main menu and click. Actually, this time instead of clicking, let's left click on documents and drag it down into our workspace. I don't know if you knew you could do that, but you can drag and drop those icons into the workspace, and now it's much easier. Now, we have a lot of documents here. They're certainly listed here in this menu, but if you click the new button, you can see all those listed there. Bibliographies, Canvas, and Logos gives you a little kind of description of what each one of these are. What we're going to do is go through these, but in a different way. We're going to work through them in an organizational way. So when it comes to doing research, that is, you're studying, you're finding information and collecting information, you've got to recognize that there are some specialized documents. So the first one is the Bible cross-reference, the passage list. All right. So when you're doing research and you're collecting a lot of Bible cross-references, you want to go to new and you want to go to passage list. You want to give it a name and then you want to begin to add those cross-references. You can add them by clicking add, and you can see that you can do it by selecting text. You can grab another passage list, and you can even copy and paste from the clipboard. I love this feature, and so let me just demonstrate that because this is really powerful. So one of the things that I'll do, in fact, let me do this. I'm going to open up systematic theology, and let's just do Grudem for an example. And this is a very typical thing that I will do when I'm studying. All right, so I'm going to grab systematic theology. Here it is, the latest edition, second one. And I will pick a particular topic. Let's say it's baptism and filling with the Holy Spirit. Now, there's a lot of cross-references in a systematic theology, and they're organized by topics. You can see it right here, the traditional Pentecostal understanding. Now, what we can do is we can actually select all this text, and instead of reading the whole thing, because let's say you're familiar with the topic, but you want to see what cross-references come up, we can select the text, and then we just have to go to add and choose selected text. And Logos will immediately grab those passages from the text, saving you the time, and there you go. Now, this is really strategic when you're studying because you can go from resource to resource to resource, grab and go, get those cross-references. And then all you have to do is click sort, and Logos will organize those in canonical order. Now you have all the key passages for this particular topic. And that's why a passage list is so great. Then later you can review this and decide by clicking on this three dots. Do you want to keep it? Do you want to delete it? Or do you want to organize it even further by clicking insert heading above? And so we can put in Holy Spirit and we can add some of these titles. By the way, if you have more than one heading, and I'm just going to call this Holy Spirit part 2, okay? And you sort, it'll sort within those headings. So these would get sorted as a group, and these would get sorted as a group. And that's very powerful. So be aware of that. So let me demonstrate. I'm just going to grab a passage here real quick. Let's take Acts 1:5. We'll put it up here. And if we do sort, see how Acts 1:5 stays in this first category? And now it's resorted as well. So whenever you're working with a lot, and when I mean a lot, more than 10 Bible passages, probably a good rule of thumb, run to the passage list, open it up. Now, as far as titles goes, we're going to repeat this over and over, but I'll just share it now. There's only 2 ways to title your documents. First is with the key cross-reference, the passage that you're studying. It might be a passage range. So Genesis chapter 1. And I recommend typing out the full book name and the full verse range. Let's say Genesis 1:1 through 10. That is one of the best ways to label your documents, because when you're searching for information and you get the results, you want to look at that title and say, oh, this is the passage I've studied before. And that's why a Bible cross-reference is really important. The second way is actually using the fact book categories. And this is something I've spent a lot of time thinking through. And so what you want to do is, if you want to come up with a topic, and that's the second way, is type in that topic. So let's say we type in Holy Spirit. Okay, we got Holy Spirit person, pretty straightforward. So since this exists in the fact book, then we want to use that one for our title. That's all I'm saying, is match it. You don't get any special linking, though we could later, and I'll show you how to do that. But the idea is to use the topics that are already built into Logos. That'll help you stay consistent and use relevant topics, and also see what other related topics are there. And that'll give you some good ideas for some names. All right, let me go ahead and close those. And that's the research for Bible cross-references. Now, the next one is Wordlist. And I'll be honest with you, there's only one use for this. So I'm going to go to Documents, I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to go to Wordlist. I used this in seminary. It's been around for that long, and it's simply to help me practice vocabulary. So what you do is you click in Add, you type in your reference. We'll type in, let's say, Matthew. Let's do Ephesians 2:8 through 10. All right, pretty straightforward. And after we type in our passage range, we'll choose the passage from the drop-down menu, and there it is. All right, then you can go in there and you can click on cards. You can print these out, etc. You can look at the front, you can look at the back, and there's it is. And that is pretty much the main use I do this. Now, the other possible use is that you are going through a passage and you're identifying keywords and you want to just store those. Maybe you're noting what they call hapax legomenon, those words that occur once. And so you can drag and drop words into this list as well. So let me demonstrate that. So here we are in Daniel, and what we can do is we can right click on a particular word. I'm going to choose this lemma. You want to use the lemma. We'll choose copy reference text. Then we can go to add, and then we can do from selected text, word, or clipboard. We'll do clipboard. And if we go down to the bottom, we'll see that our Hebrew word has been added somewhere in this list. I can't see it right now, but that's the idea. There it is. There's the Hebrew word right there, or at least one of them. And let me see if that is the one. Let's see. Yeah. So, yep, that's the one we wanted. So we can do it that way, or again, we can select the word. Let's say sick. Then we can do add and do selected text. And now we can get the word sick. And notice the English word came over. This is why you really want to do the lemma form. Very helpful. Be aware of that. And then again, naming it, it's either going to be a passage or the main word. Again, possibly a topic. And that's really the main purpose of this. So unless you've got a reason to memorize vocabulary, I really don't see you using this too often. But I am curious, if any of you are using this for some other reason, please post it in the chat box. I'm sure the other attendees of this webinar would love to know some of your creative uses of using the word list. All right, the next one is raw research. And I'm telling you, if you do not use clippings, you've got to master this tool. I use this all the time. So I'm going to go to Documents, I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to go to Clippings. Now, the reason I love clippings is the fact that I can so quickly grab and go. Let me demonstrate this. I'm going to go ahead and open up my Bible Knowledge Commentary. And let's say I'm studying Hebrews 7:4 through 10, and I'm researching and going, man, that is a great paragraph. Select the text, click Add Clipping. That's it. You're done. This is so wonderful because you get a link back to the resource. So if I close this resource by clicking on the X on the tab and I click the BKC link, it takes me right there. Now, of course, I have the information here. I have a date when I did this. I have a title. I can go in here and modify. I can add tags. It automatically includes a cross-reference. So when I search on this passage, I'll see this clippings document come back. I have notes, so I can do an annotated bibliography. And if I click this little arrow at the bottom right, when I float my mouse over the corner, I get the bibliographic information. And if we scroll to the top, there it is, and I can control the different style as well. So this is really my favorite tool. And then I will typically label it the passage that I'm studying. So when it comes to just grabbing a lot of content, don't put it in notes. Grab it and put it in clippings. Now, you can move these clipping documents around. I did a little VIP video on this, and it's really tedious. So what you would do if you really wanted to organize this is simply create a second clippings document and start dragging over in the order that you want. And that's a good approach to this. Now, to bring it back, we just float our mouse on that little arrow, and now we're back to the front. So if you're concerned about the order, then work your way through it, deleting the ones you don't want. But if you want in a specific order, create a second empty clippings document and then drag and drop the clippings document in the order that you want, and that will give you the best of both worlds. So clippings is great for that purpose. I use it all the time. All right, let's go to the next one, and that's notes. All right. Logos made a big change in notes some time ago. It's overwhelmed a lot of people, but in the end, I think it was a good change. I don't use it too often, but I do occasionally use it. So let's click on Tools and go to Notes. I still don't know why they don't put in the document menu. It makes no sense. You can leave it in the notes, but it would make more sense to put it under here, Tools, or New, and then Notes. So you do have to go to a tool to get access to this. So we type in Notes, click on Notes, and we open it. The most important thing I can teach you about notes, and again, we have webinars that cover this topic extensively. The best metaphor for understanding notes is the spiral notebook metaphor. All right, you want to start first with a notebook. That's the concept. Don't think of notes now, think of notebook, spiral notebook. Now I have my window pane closed, so I'm going to click the hamburger menu, the 3 horizontal lines, and you'll see a filter and a notebook. We want to click on that notebook. Then we want to click on Notebook, click on the plus, and give it a name. Once again, make that decision. Do we want to make these notes about a passage, or do we want to make these notes about a topic? Let's just do our passage again, Genesis. Always type in the full book name and the cross-reference range as well. So book name, chapter, and then verse range 1 through 10. Now, as soon as you press enter, Logos is going to sort it alphabetically. So remember that name, click the search icon right here, and then just type in the name once again. So there it is, 1 through 10. We'll click on it. Now notice there's nothing to see because all we have is an empty spiral notebook, just a notebook. So then we have to add paper to it. To add paper, we click the new note. And now we have these 3 windows, which you can fold your mouse between them and change their width. Now, the 3 windows are very straightforward. The first window represents the spiral notebook. The second window represents the pages of paper inside the notebook, and the third pane represents the information on that piece of paper. And once you understand this metaphor, these 3 windows make a lot of sense. So we can put this is a test. Now, one of the advantages of the note feature is that you can type in a Bible reference. So we can type in Genesis 1 through 10, press enter, and Logos will automatically hyperlink that, and it's a searchable link, which is really cool. So I love that feature. The first row is also typically the title that's used for the piece of paper. So this is a really important strategy. When you're going to build notes, reserve that first line to be the title or a summary. Now, it can handle 2 lines of text. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, this is the title, and this is the summary. All right. Notice when we press enter, we don't, both lines will show up. And that's a good strategy. So a title and a 1 sentence, maybe a phrase summarizing what the note is all about. That way you can look at these pieces of paper and know exactly what the content is all about. Now, since we're here, be aware that you can add a lot of other information. Now, you'll see that you can insert media. Now, I'm just going to say this right out of the gate. It's a cool feature, but it is not the most user-friendly feature. It's slow. You don't have a lot of features, a lot of control. I'm just grabbing some stuff here. So I'm going to do this one. I'm going to insert it. It takes a little time to put it in there. And there you go. You can't resize it in this thing. It's just so limited. And so because of all that, unless you've got a really good reason to put it in there, you're really better off to just delete it completely and try to link to the image in your Logos library. So let me give you an example of doing this. I'm going to click on the library icon and put in the ESV Study Bible. The ESV Study Bible has a lot of images, all right? So watch this, and this is all part of the training. So let's say I want to find an image. We got one there, but we click on the inline search button located right here, very key. And when you click that, this little search engine shows up. And there's a little search feature called pound image. It's really handy. Let me paste that in the chat box for you so you have that. And what it allows you to do when you press enter is it finds all the images in the book. Okay? So you can see every image where it is. Pretty awesome. Now, let's say you wanted this map in here. You could right click on it, click on image, choose copy, then go into your note file, press enter, and then right click and do paste. And you can see that it takes a little time to do this. And that's the frustrating part of using this, because you're going to go through this uploading process, this waiting process. Now, it's great to have it in there. And if you're going to export this, so let's do that. Let's click on the 3 dots up here. And we're going to do, actually up here, we're going to do print export this particular note. You'll see, unfortunately, it doesn't show up, does it? And that's another problem. All right. So you get these limitations, and that's really frustrating. So my advice is delete the image, go to that image inside the actual book. So let's do that. Let's turn off the search here. We're now inside the book. And what I like to do is grab the sentence before and the sentence. We'll really just try to select the image if you can. All right. So there's the image. It's been selected. Click on the 3 dots, and we'll do this more than once, but this is a really important process and to learn. Click on those 3 dots, go all the way down to copy location as L4. That's going to create an internal book link. So what we can do now is give it a description, map of Eden. Okay. Now that we've got that typed in, we'll select it. Once you select it, that enables the link icon to appear. And we'll click on that, and then we can right click and choose paste. And there is the book link. We'll click save. And if we click off the link, you'll see now it's highlighted. So let's close this. In fact, let's do this. Let's move to a different location and click an X on the tab to close. Now we can float our mouse, tells us some information, but if we click on it, it takes us right to the spot. And that is the best way to link to images in Logos. Again, there's always exceptions. Feel free to do this. But if I go to print export this, so click on the 3 dots and I do print export, I at least get my text. It's highlighted in blue, and that tells me there is a link. So to avoid all the images, I just recommend going with a book link. But on occasion, you may need that. Now, why do we use notes in the first place? The way I first and primarily use notes is a Post-it note. It's temporary information, but it's organized. And that's what notes are for. If you're going to just grab and go, use the clippings. But if you want to take the information, process it, put it to your own words, summarize it, then notes is the perfect place for that, because you can do outlines. Obviously, you can click the 3 dots and do bullet points. Really helpful. We can switch this to numbers now, and so forth. So this allows you to organize your thoughts, which then again can be printed out, exported, and of course, this is fully searchable. And so be aware of that capability within there. Now, Notes is a huge tool, and I have a whole webinar on that. I highly recommend.